Hey everybody, welcome back to the Always Out of Market podcast. The podcast where we're all frauds. We know nothing. Obviously, you've got a slight preview of it right now, but we sucked at picking last week. It was a week of upsets. Teams that are on bye still lost. We'll get into that in a minute. That would be the Titans, of course. It was a crazy week, and we're going to talk about news. We'll talk about our fantasy matchups this week, and then, of course, we'll make our picks for week 8, which will hopefully go better. Jason, start us off.
Yeah, so as far as news this week, there is not a lot that happened, surprisingly, with the trade deadline. Let's see, we're 3 days away from the trade deadline right now while we're recording this, so maybe I'm trying to think when teams would even make trades. Probably on deadline day,
I
if
was
I
gonna
had to
say
imagine,
it'll probably be deadline day. That's what
because
usually happens.
because they play tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the week is still going technically on Monday because of Monday Night Football. So, that could impact.
I know a lot of times we'll hear like of a trade that happens. I think the deadline is 4 o'clock on Halloween.
Yeah.
Usually we'll hear about at least a few of them at like 4:10, 4:30, somewhere in there, because they got it in right at the deadline, and it was just the delay of it being officially announced to everybody. But I imagine we'll see some. I just don't know what all they'll be, and some of them are very scary, obviously, to me, but I'll understand it.
Imagine we start recording next week, and you're like, "All right, let's go to the news," and I'm like, "We have nothing. There were no trades at the deadline."
Hey,
Imagine.
I don't see it.
no, there's
There'll
going to
be
be something.
It's just
hell
it's
if it's
weird.
an
It's just weird. There really hasn't been any. There's been one, and
yeah.
we'll talk about it in a second. But other than that, there's been nothing.
If it's anything like last year, it's gonna get wild really fast.
We'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see.
I hope the Packers go out and get somebody. I don't know who. We just they've got to do something. Our team's abysmal.
I do think we're going to see several more moves from contenders, because it does seem like the way to win the Super Bowl now is just go all in for a year. We saw Rams do it with the fuck them pick situation. I think that is kind of the way to go. And we've already seen some moves from some contenders, so we'll see.
That's a good move if you just want to win a Super Bowl. If you want to be good, you can't do that. You'll only be good for 1 year most of the time.
Yeah, I
Like the
guess.
Yeah.
Well, the Rams are starting to look good this year, though, too. I know they lost
Yeah,
this week.
they are picking up.
They lost because of some bullshit reffing, but
Yeah.
I don't know if that's on your news, but the refs were fucking horrible this week. There was a lot of very questionable calls.
Every week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not on here, but we know the referees suck every year, every week, every game. So
every play.
Yeah, every play.
All I know is Pickett was short by a long shot. So that was, and then the Colts. Honestly, I'm happy because they're in my division that the Colts lost, but they got fucked by the Browns. The refs absolutely fucked them.
My friend Trey, who is a Browns fan, he even said, "We won, but it was bullshit." And I'm not gonna
bullshit. It was bullshit.
Well, the first thing I have on here is the Lions parted ways with Marvin Jones Jr. after he announced that he was stepping away from football to deal with personal family matters. So we don't know what's going on with that. No need to ask. Hope everything works out for him.
Yeah.
If he comes back to play football, wish him the best of luck. If not, still wish him the best of luck with whatever's going on.
Actually, I didn't see that. I
Yeah.
did not see that he got released.
Yeah, mad respect to him for stepping away for family issues. So
hey, we got to remember these players are still people. So people got their own things going on, and obviously people get pissed because of fantasy, and obviously you want your team to do well, but people, they have their own lives, so we got to respect it to a certain extent. So
yeah. I've got the Seahawks signed Frank Clark, so they are turning into the Seattle Broncos. yet another piece of the Broncos team that goes to the Seahawks. I'm not going to miss him. He didn't do anything for us.
He's gonna be
Hopefully,
amazing in Seattle, though.
hopefully for the Seahawks' sake, he does better.
I mean, that was like the worst trade that was possible. He did nothing there, and he was only there for what? This is week 7, I think.
We didn't even trade for him. We just signed him.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Still, worst signing ever because he did nothing.
Yeah, no, he did. He had 2 tackles playing for us. And speaking of us, Kareem Jackson got suspended for 4 games. He appealed it and got it reduced down to 2 after a hit on the Packers tight end. I can't think of what his name is.
Musgrave.
Luke Musgrave. He's been penalized or fined every week this year for an unnecessary roughness hit. I looked it up. That is accurate. It's been every single week. But he got it reduced to 2 because they reviewed the footage and he did not lead with the helmet like they thought. He did lead with the shoulder into the shoulder, but it was still on a defenseless player. So he still got suspended for 2 games. He's got a very bad reputation growing for him now of being a dirty player because of how many times it's happened this year. He needs to calm down. I know he's just trying to make a play happen, but you can't do that. Like, it's unnecessary.
We know how disciplined these defensive players have to be because it doesn't take much for those refs to throw a flag, especially for something like that when it comes to safety. But obviously, I definitely think that was a dirty play. But we talk about it that it's really hard to be on defense in the NFL. Yet somehow defenses are good. I don't know because it seems like they can't do anything. But that particular one was really bad.
Yeah,
me and Jason talked about it a little bit with like, at what point do you consider him a liability? If he's getting ejected every week and costing big plays, he's giving up all these yards from penalties. At what point do you just say, we can't have you here no more?
Well, after this year, I don't think that we'll have him again. We signed him to a 1-year deal in the offseason, so I think they're going to let him ride his contract out, and then after that, he'll be a free agent / retire. He's getting old anyway, so he's not going to be playing much longer, regardless.
Yeah.
And now we can talk about another safety, the elephant in the room. The Eagles and the Titans worked out a trade for safety Kevin Byard. He is on the Eagles now. The Eagles got Kevin Byard, and the Titans received a 5th and 6th round pick and safety Terrell Edmonds. So at least you got a safety in return, I guess. You don't have to fill as big of a gap, but
supposedly this safety was taken in the 1st round by the Steelers a while back.
Yeah.
And then,
yeah. No,
Edmonds
was really
a
good.
solid player. Yeah. I don't think he's much of recent years, but he was very, very good. I remember him in college.
Well, obviously, so right now I'm rocking the Byard jersey. I'm a little sad because it's Oilers week, and he's not even going to fucking be there. He didn't even have a chance to play in the Oilers throwback jerseys. But, me and Jason talked about it before we started the podcast today. I don't care that I can potentially return this jersey. I'm rocking the Byard jersey because I thought he was awesome. I've always liked him since I started becoming a Titans fan. I've always enjoyed Jeffrey Simmons and Kevin Byard. They're my 2 favorite defensive players. So I wish him nothing but the best. I'm just a little frustrated. A few things. One, I wish we could have at least seen him in the Oilers jersey. I wish we could have waited this 1 week because we also haven't had a Titans game at home in a while because they had the bye week, and before that they played in London, and then before that, I guess, was it home or was it away? I can't remember, but it's been a bit, so we haven't gotten a chance to really have a goodbye game to him. And then also, why'd it have to be the Eagles? Did it have to be the Eagles? I talked about it a lot because there was a lot of rumors about Derrick Henry going to the Eagles, and I kept saying in the offseason and up till trade deadline stuff, even now, it doesn't make sense to trade with the Eagles, knowing the new GM knows what got the last GM fired was the AJ Brown trade. Yet here we are. And Rand Carthon has not really talked to the media since it happened. I think he's trying to let things kind of die down because it's a bit of a mess in the Titans fan community right now. But I do think I'm glad we got somebody back because we didn't have great depth in the secondary. So, especially because I found out Roger McCreary is out for this week too. I found that out last night, so we don't have a good corner, and of course our safety. We just lost our best safety, so at least we've got somebody back. I wish we had gotten more than a fifth and a sixth out of it. I was hoping we'd at least get like a fourth. I didn't expect much more than that because he is old, and he's got an expiring contract. But overall, though, my personal feelings. I'm not going to say what a lot of Titans fans are saying. My personal feelings is I wish him nothing but the best. I'm on the Eagles hype train right now because of AJ Brown. I want them to get a Super Bowl. They should have gotten one last year. And now I've got even more reason to because KB's there too. So
You're a better man than me. I would wish them nothing good for leaving my team.
Well, and I know Kevin Byard didn't want to leave. He said before he didn't want to leave, and now that he's left, of course he's like, he's hyping up being an Eagle player, excited about his record. Tyler had messaged me, which of course Tyler's not here today, but remember he's a Titans fan too. He's more upset about it than I am, I think, but he's also not happy that Kevin Byard and AJ Brown have kind of been talking about, oh, now I've got a winning mentality. I'm on a better team. Well, yeah, of course you are. That's just a fact. They're on a better team. So
I mean, I'd be hyped if I got traded to a better team too.
Yeah.
I mean, that means that team thinks highly of you, and they're already doing good. So I mean,
yeah. And it makes sense because looking at the Eagles, their biggest weakness was their secondary. I mean, obviously against the Dolphins, they still played really well, but Tyreek Hill was still burning the secondary when he was out there. So it makes sense to at least have a little bit more in the secondary, especially because they had some injuries. Because isn't GJ or Gardner Johnson, isn't he out right now?
I think so.
And then, I can't remember who their other corners are, but
Darius Slay, I can't remember if he's still on the Eagles or not.
I think he is. And then of course they've got Bradbury, but they
really sound like we know what we're talking about.
Yeah. Hey, like I said, we're fraud alert. Wait, where is it? It's down this way. There we go.
It's over that way for me.
Yeah. Fraud alert. This podcast. But yeah, anyway, I don't want to say any more about Kevin Byard, but it's obviously very big for me, and I hate that I'm wearing this jersey. I know there's gonna be a bunch of people at the game who'll be like, hey, he's not on our team anymore. I know that. I fucking know that. Thank you. You should
act shocked every time somebody says it. What?
What?
What do you mean?
I was gonna see him after the game. What are you talking about?
He gave me tickets to this game.
Do you think that we will have any inter-podcast trades before the deadline? Because I just thought about it. Since we started the podcast, that has not happened yet.
Yes, it has.
Oh, it did. The Bradley Chubb and to the Broncos trade happened.
To the Dolphins, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
You
know what I meant.
I mean, the way I'm looking at it right now, we may not be done. The Titans may not be done because they've got a bunch of people on expiring contracts, and I think there's something going on between Rand and Mike Vrabel because the last press conference with Mike Vrabel was not good. Like, he was basically having a fucking meltdown on the podium. I'm thinking that Rand is probably being a little more realistic and realizes that we're probably not a contender this year, and we might as well, instead of just after the deadline, all these guys that are on expiring contracts go into free agency and we get nothing for them. I think he's trying to at least give us something to build towards the future. So
sell the team.
Yeah, it's kind of a fire sale now. I kind of wish we could have waited until if they end up beating the Falcons, maybe we stop. But if we don't beat the Falcons this week, I think obviously that's the 29th. The 31st is the deadline. I think the 30th and 31st is going to be a fucking fire sale for the Titans. I mean, that's me being realistic with the way Rand has approached it so far. Because I know we didn't have a lot of picks, and next year we've already got we had a first, a second, a fourth, and 2 7s. Now I think we've added a 5th and a 6th because of the Kevin Byard trade, and I think he's going to try to get more. So we'll see.
That's kind of how I felt about the Packers season. Going into the Broncos game, if we won, keep playing hard the rest of the season. But if we lost, tank the rest of the season. What's the point? I just want to beat the Bears. That's my only goal the rest of the season.
Fair enough.
Well, that's it for news this week. There really wasn't a whole lot that's happened. It's been really quiet leading up to the deadline. Hopefully next week we'll actually have a lot of stuff to talk about because it's been a while since we've had a lot of news. So,
eerily quiet.
I've been seeing a lot of rumors though. It's been quiet in actual official news, but there's been a whole lot of rumors going around about a lot of players. So
there's plenty of rumors going around.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy this next week.
Especially with the Broncos, there's a lot of talk about trading people, but they have not made a single trade yet. So
yeah,
I guess they're just wanting too much.
It's coming. I think it's coming down to for us the same way that Steven was talking about how you were talking about. If we somehow beat the Chiefs, play hard. If we lose and we drop to 2-6, I think they're gonna sell. I was talking to Steven before we started recording, before you hopped in the call, and they have let teams know what the asking price is for Patrick Surtain, and it is astronomical. They want 2 firsts and a third at least.
That's not gonna happen.
Yeah,
like it just won't.
They said they want more than the Jalen Ramsey trade gave out, which was 2 firsts and a fourth.
I think that they don't understand. This is a name business. Jalen Ramsey, I get Patrick Surtain is like the best corner in the league right now, but at the time Jalen Ramsey was above and beyond everybody else.
Yeah.
So you can't want that much if your team is that bad.
I'm still under the impression that one of our wide receivers is going to be traded, even though there hasn't been like a ton of talk, like a ton of this person will get traded. I still think one of them is going to get moved, whether it be Jerry Jeudy or Cortland Sutton. And I also think there's a chance that one of our linebackers gets moved because our linebacker room is fucking stacked and we could afford to lose one of them and gain a little bit of extra draft capital. There are a couple of names in there that I don't want to see go because they're just that good. But if we can get, a good pick for them, then send them on. This is all with the mindset that we lose to the Chiefs. If we beat the Chiefs, don't fucking trade anybody. If we can bump our way from 1-5 up to 3-5, we have a chance to still make something of the season.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's still early, so you're 3-5, you go and win the next 4 or 5 games, you're in the playoff contention.
9-5, yeah. 10-7 makes the playoffs this year, I think.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, it's a long stretch to get to 10-7 for us, with us being 2-5 already, but not impossible. We saw the 49ers started off bad last year, and they went on a fucking tear and finished the season like 13-4. So
and now they're falling apart.
Yep, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But yeah, Steven, if you want to over.
I was going to say one thing before we switch over to fantasy. Yeah, that's one thing. You talking about the record, just one game swinging one way or the other can greatly affect the way the season looks. It's kind of how I feel about the Titans too, because they're 2-4 right now. 3-4 looks a lot better than 2-5. Like a huge difference. And I hate the fact that we had our bye as early as we did before the trade deadline. I would have much rather had it later. Obviously, it made sense to have it after the international game. But that's one less game that we have to see where we're at for the season. And then we're also fucked because the trade deadline's this week. We may make some moves, and then we play in Thursday Night Football. So
y'all's schedule did not fall in your favor this year.
No, it didn't, and that's gonna suck because if I mean, if we are losing somebody major before the deadline, there's not enough time to prepare for the Steelers game, which is why
You're gonna have practice squad people
Yeah.
playing on Thursday Night Football.
Matthew forgot to send me his Thursday Night Football pick, and I was like, if I were you, I'd definitely take the Steelers. And of course, he's like, yeah, of course. But
He said, it was like 6 a.m, and I woke up from work or whatever, and I saw the text, and I was like, he said, "Are you picking the Titans again?" I said, "Nah, Steelers."
hey, it was wishful thinking. I was surprised that you picked them, which, spoiler, but you did pick them for the other game, which surprised me. I was very happy about it, though. So we'll get into it. We'll get into that in a little bit.
I know you hate to hear this, but I hope Derrick Henry gets traded because I want to see him go to somebody who can win a Super Bowl within the next year or two. I want him to get a Super Bowl so bad.
Same thing for Kevin Byard. I'll hate it. It'll make me upset, but I will wish Derrick Henry nothing but success. He deserves it so much.
Before we hop into fantasy, I'll bring it up real quick since Matthew said something about Derrick Henry being traded because we know he's on the trade block for sure right now. And I've seen the Ravens are the top team right now to get him. If he goes to the Ravens, he could win a Super Bowl this year. They look impressive. I'll talk about it more in a little bit, but they look impressive.
Imagine Eagles Ravens Super Bowl. That's what if he ends
up. That would be amazing.
Sign me up.
Okay, so here's the problem. So there is nobody really talks about it because they're not in our division, but there is kind of a little bit of a Titans Ravens rivalry. We ended up upsetting them in the playoffs a couple years ago. That's the year that we made it to the AFC Championship. There's been a little bit of a rivalry there. So a lot of Titans fans have heard that and are not happy about it, but again, this is where I'm a little bit different from everybody else. Obviously, I don't want to see him on the Ravens because of that rivalry, but if that's where he goes, go Ravens, honestly. Because it's the same way that I feel with the Eagles with all of their Titans players. You know, some of these guys that they've got on these rosters, they deserve a chance, and it just, unfortunately, is not with Tennessee. At least not right now. So,
go ahead. I'll say I've been thinking about the list we made of our favorite teams during the offseason, and I'm really starting to think that if I redid it right now, I would bump the Ravens up to number 2. They are really good to watch. I love watching them play.
The Ravens would be up higher on my list too. I can't remember where I had them, but they would be higher. They're so fun to watch, and Derrick Henry would look so good in a Ravens jersey.
Yeah,
I mean, having that read option with Lamar and Derrick Henry in the backfield, disgusting.
What's better, the read option with Ryan Tannehill or Lamar Jackson?
All right, let's move on to fantasy now. All right, let me switch over real quick. Here we go.
You don't even know Will Levis is about to turn y'all season around,
dude. Real talk. If Levis absolutely pops off, I'll be happy. It is beautiful that me and Tyler were not happy about the pick. Tyler especially was just shitting on Will Levis nonstop, and I'm like, Tyler, you gotta be careful because we're gonna end up getting him, and that's what ended up happening. But if we go to that first game, Will Levis' first ever start, and he pops off, I'll be as happy as could be. So, all right, let's move on to fantasy. Let me switch over where we can see it a little better. There we go. So let me look at our first matchup. So first off, we got me versus Gavin. Going up against numero uno, and I'm 4th now because I think I'm tied record-wise with Jason. I don't know why it's got me at 4th and you in 5th.
Because you beat me.
Oh, right. Yeah. Good point.
It's the same reason me and Gavin are 1st and 2nd because Gavin beat me.
Okay. Yeah, because you have a 5-2 record too. So yeah, Gavin's 5-2. I'm 3-4, and then this is what our teams look like. I have not had any players play yet. I don't have any Buccaneers or Bills players, but he does have Mike Evans and Josh Allen, and it really looked like Mike Evans was going to get nothing. He had 1 or 2 points for most of the game, but then at the end,
fourth quarter.
Yeah, until the 4th quarter, he got a touchdown, and ended up getting 12.9, which is still below his projection, but still a decent amount. And then Josh Allen played out of his mind. So,
as always.
yeah. Which, I mean, we got the number 1 ranked quarterback in fantasy going against number 2 ranked quarterback in fantasy. So this is actually a decent matchup. Earlier on in the season, it probably wouldn't have been good for me, but with all the changes I made, I might have a chance. I think he's favored right now. I mean, it's 149 to 137. So what? He's got like a 55% chance to win, something like that.
Probably something like that.
Yeah. Obviously, it doesn't show the percentages on the website as opposed to on the app, but yeah. So this is what our teams look like. If you're just listening to this on like a podcast platform, you probably want to just see the video for this part.
It's 55% to 45%.
Okay, so I was pretty close. But yeah.
I say it every week we do this. Your team scares me with how many players you have on the Eagles on the starting lineup.
I know. Yeah, speaking of fantasy, we didn't talk about it. I haven't talked about it on the podcast yet. We talked about it before we started. Apparently, Tyler dropped David Montgomery, and I didn't know that. I probably would have considered picking him up. He was who I wanted over DeAndre Swift. I ended up picking up him instead. He's still done great for me, and David Montgomery got hurt. But I didn't see that he dropped him and Jason picked him up. So,
yep.
And then, obviously, it was not my plan initially. At first, my problem was the wide receiver room, and now it's not the case. Now it's actually my running backs have been a bit of a problem because Kyron Williams is on IR. Derrick Henry hasn't been good lately. It's not really his fault. That offensive line's terrible. And then I, of course, traded away Alvin Kamara because I needed wide receiver help at that time. I don't anymore, so I wish I could go back because Alvin Kamara has been good because Derek Carr can't throw to Olave to save his life for whatever reason. He can only
especially
throw
when Olave's in jail.
Well, that doesn't help either. But even when Olave's been out there, Olave's been open. Fucking Derek Carr throws it into the fucking sidelines, and he's like, "Why didn't you catch the ball?" It's like, dude, nobody could have caught that ball. Megatron couldn't have caught that ball. What are you doing?
To put it into perspective, Kamara missed the first 3 games of the season, and he is the 17th ranked running back already.
Fucking hate my
life.
life.
It's almost like everybody but Steven knew that was going to happen.
Again, you have to look at where I was at in the earlier season. I didn't need running backs. I needed wide receivers. It made sense. He was my most tradable guy. So, obviously, no.
He's like the best flex that there is in the league right now.
Yeah. We didn't know. We didn't know for sure what he was going to look like in the new system. Obviously, I was wrong. We know that.
With me knowing how Steven felt at that time, because I needed help with running backs incredibly bad, like he needed with wide receiver, I would have probably done the same thing, honestly, out of desperation, because there were no good players to pick up, and you know, that was when he was really struggling. He had like 1 win. Actually, no, you didn't even have a win yet, did you?
No, I was 0-3, I think, at the time when we made the trade.
Yeah.
No, obviously, and I know Matthew's bitter about it because he initially offered me DK Metcalf. At the time that happened, DK Metcalf was questionable for like 3 weeks in a row, and he still played, but he was questionable. And I was thinking Tyler Lockett was going to get a decent amount of throws too. I thought Olave was really Derek Carr's best target, but now we see he just only throws to Alvin Kamara, no matter where he is. Yeah. So it is what it is. What do y'all think as far as our teams go? Obviously, I think the biggest thing to look at here is Cooper Kupp versus Puka Nacua. Who gets more targets in this next game? That's going to be the key right there.
I want to point this out. Olave is the 22nd ranked wide receiver. DK Metcalf is the 45th ranked wide receiver. So Steven made a good trade.
He didn't make a good trade because he's in jail.
Between the two, though, he made the right choice.
Hey,
I guess, but
shout out to Jason getting my back today. Thank you, buddy.
He was the one that you traded him to.
Yeah, I know, but he's still defending me. He's defending me. I take it.
The other way around, he'd be bitter too.
Yeah. But yeah, this is
Between these two, every week I have to go with Gavin because his team is just always consistent. He's got by far the most consistent team.
What about you, Matthew?
I'm rooting for you because I need Gavin to lose.
Fair
I'm
enough.
rooting for Steven too, but I think Gavin's gonna win.
Another big thing here is I couldn't decide. I've switched him back and forth. George Kittle or Dallas Goedert. Goddard and Kittle have both been doing very well the last couple weeks.
I'm gonna be honest. I would start Goddard.
Well,
I would do against the Commanders' defense over Kittle with
Yeah.
the Bengals defense.
Bengals have been really bad against tight ends, though. You look at they're like 27th against tight ends, so it makes sense to go Kittle because Purdy. You got to remember Purdy's a lot of his targets are out. I think Debo is still probably going to be out.
Purdy might be out too, though.
Well, but everything has been trending towards Purdy playing again, so that's why I initially had Goddard in there once I found Purdy was supposed to be out, and then when they said that he is potentially going to play, I put Kittle back in. So right now, I still haven't decided. We'll see what happens tomorrow morning, who ends up playing for my fantasy. But
the most questionable thing I see is that Gavin is not starting Isaiah Pacheco against Denver.
The defense has gotten a lot better for us, especially in the run game. I do get where you're coming from though, because our defense has had a bad track record this year.
I mean, as far as projections go, he's got it. RB, he's of course going to play Christian McCaffrey. Jonathan Taylor.
He's only starting Jonathan Taylor because he had a good week last week, and he's scared to put him on the bench again.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Also, he could afford to lose a game. I mean,
oh yeah.
And then Jahmyr Gibbs, especially with David Montgomery still going to probably be out, it makes sense to play Jahmyr Gibbs too. So
definitely smart. I think they realized after last week that no matter what they do, Jahmyr Gibbs will get them yards if they get him the ball, and they're going to start abusing the fuck out of it.
Yeah, but I'm really hoping I have a chance here. It's just going to really depend on, of course, the Eagles and the Rams. But they've been doing great the last several weeks, so it's been helping me a lot. And A.J. Brown he did nothing the first few weeks, and I was really thinking that Devontae Smith was going to be Jalen Hurts' favorite target, but then it's completely flipped. Now A.J. Brown's getting like 100-plus yards every game for like 6 or 7 games, something like that. So A.J. Brown's been very consistent. If I had played him over DJ Moore against Matthew, I would have won. So that sucks. But, that's how fantasy works. You never know. Let's move to the next matchup. We've got 2 people that are not here. We've got we got Ryan versus Tyler.
Ryan wins.
Huh?
Ryan wins. I don't know why Tyler sucks so bad when his team is actually not that bad, but they just are bad. I mean, he's 1-5 or 1-6, whatever it is.
Yeah, I'm interested to see. So he's got Jordan Addison on his bench, and then he's got Garrett Wilson in his flex. He's got, of course, he's got Tyreek Hill. You play him no matter what. Higgins is interesting.
Just picked up T. Higgins.
Move T. Higgins out of your wide receiver slot and throw in literally any of the other 3 wide receivers on your bench. Literally any of them.
Ridley or Jordan Addison.
I would put in.
That's what you're going to outperform.
Especially Addison, like with Justin Jefferson out. That's like your main guy right there. I picked up Jordan Addison. Yeah.
I dropped Darren Waller and he picked him up and he's still starting Kyle Pitts over Darren Waller. So, and Darren Waller is projected to get 3.2 more points than Kyle Pitts is this week.
To be fair, Tyler also waits to like the last minute to change his roster. I've seen him do it. He usually does it like first thing Sunday morning, so this may not even be who he plays, but
I just realized he has 3 tight ends on his team.
He's got Kyle Pitts, Chigakonkwo, and Darren Waller, yeah. I don't know.
Just drop Chig. Why is he even on your roster?
It's just because he likes Chig. Which
I know, but he's taking up a spot.
yeah, no, I would look. I like Chig, but I would drop him too. Look, he's not been productive
It's
at
not,
all.
And
yeah.
you guys, how many NFL teams are there in the league?
Yeah, 32.
Chig is the 33rd ranked tight end.
Yeah. Probably because of like what Taysom Hill or something. Is it Taysom Hill listed?
I have no idea, but
Because Taysom Hill
saw
is
that,
listed as a tight end in fantasy, I think. So that's probably why.
I saw that, and I
No,
couldn't help but say something about that.
he has
That was-
been a fucking ghost this year. I don't know what happened. He was great last year. He was one of the only good on our team, and he's been a ghost. He hasn't done anything. So that's
Also,
by far my worst bold. It's my worst bold prediction. I'll admit it. You know, it's fine. All right.
also, bold choice of him to put the Titans defense in after trading away Byard.
Yes, I also agree that. I mean, maybe he's thinking Desmond Ritter's gonna like fucking fumble again or something, and there'll be recovery. But I don't know. I wouldn't do it either. But let's look at the last one. We've got you two guys. We got Matthew versus Jason.
Jason is one of my only 2 losses this season, so.
All right, let's see. So you
I'll
got.
be 2 of your 3 losses after this week.
I see you benched Aaron Jones, which is probably a good thing.
I don't know. They've like stopped using him. I don't know. He used to get like 20 touches a game, whether it's receiving or it's rushing, and now it's just nothing. They give him the ball like 5 times a game, which sucks. He was our offense.
I've got a question about your lineup.
Yeah.
Why are you starting Romeo Doubs over DK Metcalf?
Because DK Metcalf has done nothing for the most part, and he's playing against Cleveland's defense. I think that Cleveland's defense.
Romeo Doubs is technically the 40th ranked wide receiver. Metcalf's 45th, so I realize.
Well, you got to remember. Jordan Love loves throwing to Romeo Doubs.
So. I know.
I get it, but man, that seems like a risk. But I understand why you did it.
Yeah, it's the fact that I think Cleveland's defense is going to get a lot of pressure on Geno Smith, and it's going to be abysmal for them to try and get the ball off. And I think they're going to have to run a lot more than be able to pass.
So the one thing that I couldn't figure out, and we were talking about it before the podcast too, Matthew. Me and Jason were talking about Stephon Diggs. From what I saw from the Bills Buccaneers game, he like didn't get targeted very much until like the very end of the game. Like I
noticed that too. I was scared.
Yeah, like Gabe Davis was wide receiver 1 in this game, and I think he ended up. What'd you say? He got like 20-something points.
He got like 23 or something like that.
Yeah, and Stephon Diggs only got 16, which I mean, it's still not bad. But
I was gonna say I'm fine with 16 points, but I don't know. He's supposed to be the guy on their offense, so
he did look noticeably pissed about the game. Like even though they of course won, but you could see that Stephon Diggs was kind of pissed off, which I mean he always is.
That's true. I think there's some bad blood between him and Josh Allen right now.
They keep saying when they ask about it, they're like, "Oh no, we're great," but
yeah, but they're getting paid to say.
Of course. I think I like, even though James Cook did not do well, which was the only player that Jason had play in the Thursday Night Football. I kind of like Jason's chances here for this week. If Stephon Diggs had done more, I would lean your way, Matthew. But with Alvin Kamara has been doing really great, and against Indy, I could see him doing well. And then I expect Keenan Allen to do. You know, he didn't really do much, I think, last week, but I think he's going to want to bounce back, especially against Chicago.
Yeah.
So obviously, y'all are both on this, so it's hard for you to judge, but I'm gonna say as a third party, I'm gonna probably go with Jason here. Very close matchup though.
I'm gonna throw out the saving grace for Matthew this week is gonna be Raheem Mostert going against the Patriots. I think that's gonna really help his chances out. I know we're not supposed to like pick. I'm not picking. I mean, obviously, I want to win.
Yeah,
but,
of course.
I think that's gonna be the the deciding factor on who wins, I think, is going to be if he's able to break out against the Patriots.
Yeah.
You know, who's also been. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was talking to Gavin about this. I have Dalton Schultz on my team, and he's like the second best tight end in the league right now. I mean, he's getting touchdowns every game. He's averaging like 15 points. And I almost started him at flex. I'm still debating on it because I don't know. I don't know if I trust Romeo Dobbs in this game. And if Dalton Schultz goes out and gets 15 to 17 points, where's the problem? But then he was like, yeah, but why would you start two tight ends? And that's yes, but at the same time, if he's getting 17 points, I don't see why you shouldn't start him.
I think you should consider trading him at that point. You know,
but
I was in a league last year, and the guy who won the championship started two tight ends all year long. I think he lost 3 games total. So
I might still do it. I mean, what's the worst can happen? I lose. It's week 8. So
I think
you and Gavin are in a spot where you can afford to lose a game or two.
I think you and Gavin are going to be in the playoffs. I think right now it's going to be a battle. Like I think really it's going to be a battle between who gets that 4th place spot because I think Ryan's probably going to make it too. It's going to be me, Jason, or Tyler. I guess
it's going to be me or you, Steven.
We'll see. What?
I'm doing it. I'm starting Dalton Schultz at my flex.
Another thing I want to talk about here is the 49ers defense has been kind of a letdown this year.
They have.
They have not been doing well in fantasy, and you can tell the difference. Obviously, they lost the defensive coordinator to the Houston Texans for head coach, of course, D'Amico Ryans. But the 49ers defense, especially their secondary, has not been great. And then they didn't even – the 49ers versus Vikings game – they didn't get to Kirk Cousins at all. The defensive line never got to him. So what's going on with the 49ers defense?
I don't know, but I'm thinking about getting a new one. They're playing really bad of recently.
I was to say it would worry me going against the Bengals and how dangerous they can be. But at the same time, you can't not start the 49ers defense right now.
Exactly.
Like you just can't. Like
yeah, at minimum,
they're in a rough spot. Yeah. Is the thing. I think that they've hit a little rough patch. Give it like 1 or 2 more weeks, and I think they'll be back to 49ers defense. But that's still possibly taking 2-3 points for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, but that's it. That's our matchups this week. Hopefully, it's another interesting week. Let me look at our where do I go to it? Standings. Is that right? Yeah. So right now, up there, number 1, you got Gavin 5-2. Matthew's technically tied with him, but of course the win gives him the advantage. Matthew 5-2, Ryan at 4-3, and then me and Jason both 3-4, and then Tyler's at 1-6. Look, at this point, as I've said before, we've got that fantasy punishment thing. As long as I don't come in last, I'm fine with it. If I'm in 5th and I don't get to play in the playoffs, whatever. I didn't get last. That's kind of where I'm at right now.
You know, you raise a good point. Being in 5th is just kind of like a purgatory because you don't have to buy a jersey, but you're not in the playoffs. You're the only person that gets nothing out of it.
Yeah. So are we gonna do like whoever's last at the end of regular season? Because you still have to play in the consolation bracket or whatever it is. So if you play Tyler in the 5 and 6 and you lose to Tyler, I think you should have to buy the jersey.
Is that?
I think worst record should be one that gets it because if Tyler goes, if he wins 3 more games and he only has 4 wins, and then whoever's in 5th has 8 wins, but they lose to him.
That's fair. Yeah,
a 4-game differential is a lot.
No, yeah, I think at that point you would just go by the record, but I didn't
now,
even think about
that. If y'all are tied whenever you go into it.
Oh, if we're tied, then yes, that should be the deciding factor.
That's what I hope happens.
I don't.
I don't either because it's gonna be me or Steven that winds up playing him. So
yeah, and it'll be so stressful.
I will be trying to trade with everything.
I'll be a good sport about it. If I end up getting last or whatever, I'll rock that Trevor Lawrence jersey. Why not? I know you want it because it's me and it's the Jags, your second favorite team. So I
So funny.
I know you
I want it so bad.
it. All right, but are you guys ready for picks?
Yep.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let me switch over to it.
Also, just want to say, feels good to be back. I've missed a few episodes of
Yeah.
recently. Feels nice to be back.
We'll see if you still feel that way when we go over our stats.
Yeah, I don't.
All right, so let's look at our week 7 stats. So we did fucking terrible. I mean,
Awesome.
it was just a terrible week. So Jason's the outlier, but they're in first place. But even he didn't do that great. 54%, 7 out of 13 picks. There was a 3-way tie for second with me, Ryan, and Tyler, all at 5 out of 13, 38%. Gavin had easily his worst week ever, 4 out of 13, 31%. And then Matthew, probably, I don't know how you managed to do this, but he got 2 out of 13 right, 15%. I had to completely change the layout for you because of how low your score was.
I would have rather have gotten no games right than only
I was
get
gonna
2
say
right.
you were 6 points away from having 1 out of 13 right with the Thursday night game.
Yeah.
You were that Hail Mary that got dropped away from being 1 of 13.
Yeah.
That's crazy too, because if Chris Godwin just turned around like 2 seconds faster, they won that game.
Yep.
Yeah, but obviously we're all on fraud alert right now because this is really bad. We
I've been on
suck.
fraud alert since week 1. I did so good at week 1, and I have done awful every other week.
But yeah, let's move on to the next slide. First up, for you were right, we were wrong. Jason, part of the reason he did as well as he did is because he picked away from the group on the Falcons-Buccaneers game and the Lions-Ravens game. He picked the Ravens. The Ravens just absolutely destroyed the Lions.
It did, and it was awesome.
Yeah, I know you enjoyed that, but man, it was just I couldn't figure out what was going on with the Lions. But then of course he picked the Falcons-Buccaneers, which the Falcons probably shouldn't have won that game with all the red zone turnovers and everything that Desmond Ridder did, but the Bucs couldn't do anything either. Bucs are starting to fall off.
All I'm saying is the Falcons won that game without Bijan Robinson.
Yes, Bijan Robinson had a headache and didn't play. So
that game would not have been close, I don't think, if he would have played. I mean, it wouldn't have been like a complete blowout, but it probably would have been like a 10-point game instead of a 3-point game.
Yeah. I mean, it was a last-second field goal by the Falcons.
Yeah.
Young Ho did really good. I mean, he was kind of their key in that game. So,
yep.
All right, then let's go to the next one. Another you were right, we were wrong. Old Tyler, always showing up on these.
I'm starting to really hate this guy, you know?
Yeah. He just keeps picking the weird ones. And this was my whole idea behind the fraud alert theme for this week. 49ers are on fraud alert big time.
They are.
Yeah.
We talked them up. We were saying, how do you stop the 49ers? And then they lost 2 games where they just didn't look good at all. And of course, they lost to the Vikings. Look at Kirk Cousins' stats. I mean, he did have the interception, but 35 of 45 for 378 yards.
That's insane.
And then Jordan Addison, look at that guy.
He has really stepped up since Justin Jefferson is out. He's really stepped up his game, and I think the Vikings have a potentially very dangerous wide receiver core.
Oh, easily.
They do.
And
the main thing for this game, look at Christian McCaffrey's stat line. 45 yards. That's the key. That if they can stop Christian McCaffrey, the offense can't do anything, especially with Deebo Samuel being out and Brock Purdy can't throw a 2-yard check down for 85 yards and a touchdown.
We got to give serious credit to the Vikings offensive line and their defensive line. Shut up. I know you're a Packers fan, but no,
I would play them this week. This really scares me.
Yeah, no, the defensive line. I don't feel like the Vikings secondary is that great. We know that they put up. They're terrible in fantasy. for the secondary. But the Vikings defensive line just basically just blitzed the shit out of the 49ers. And they did really well. They couldn't stop them. And then they did that again. We're expecting more games like this out of them. With they're just blitzing constantly. I don't have the exact stats on me, but they're like the highest blitzing team right now. But yeah,
that is Jordan Love's gonna die in this game because they're gonna hit so many times. Our offensive line is awful. I don't know why, because it's not even, I can't even use the excuse that it's a bunch of young guys anymore, because it's not. They've been playing and they just are bad. I don't know. That's the one thing I hope out of this draft. Offensive linemen.
y'all are gonna finally take a wide receiver in the first round. That's what
I won't be mad about that either.
All right, let's move on. So now we got our overall stats. So we've got some noticeable movements here. So Gavin and Ryan still 1 and 2, and Jason was in 4th, moved up to tie for 3rd with me, and then Matthew, you got to look out, buddy. No. Tyler has now tied with you at y'all are tied at 47%. Hey, you're not at 50 overall, so that's
it's almost like only getting 2 games right in a whole week of picking is a really bad thing to happen.
Yeah.
It's becoming a close race at the top.
Yes. In between everybody.
Yeah, it was looking like Gavin was going to run away with it, but I mean, it's a 5-game differential from 1st to 4th. I mean,
told y'all, it's not just because he has football knowledge does not mean he can pick good.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's always you can analyze the shit out of games and you're still going to get a lot wrong. But
he even told me, he said he does better whenever he just goes with his gut.
Yeah.
So, and see, I did stat diving last week on the 2 games that I got right away from the pack, and I got them right because I went with what the stats said. So I'm the opposite, apparently. Yeah. If I do some research, I'm gonna get it right.
One thing I got to point out though is, we are all at a disadvantage right now because the 2 people at the top right now have actual decent teams. Sorry to say this, Matthew, but especially after losing to the Broncos, we can't say the Packers are good. I can't say
nobody this season has said the Packers were good.
Well, we can't. I'm saying it to just, hey, just I feel for
just
you,
to kick me while I'm down.
Yeah, exactly. No, the Titans aren't good. They're weird and they win games they shouldn't and lose games that they definitely should win. And then the Broncos, the offense is good, the defense is good. You never get them on the same game. So the benefit they have is
the Packers.
Well, yeah, but since we're not, because we're obviously going to try to pick our teams when we can. We'll see if I continue to do that, especially after this trade deadline. But that does hurt us a little bit. So
I'm about to stop. I'm just gonna pick against the Packers, and maybe it'll reverse psychology and they'll win.
Well, that's a way to do it. I mean,
maybe that's what happened with me because I picked the Chargers over the Titans in week 2, and then the Titans beat up the Chargers. So I don't know.
Which
it's just
is
weird.
not looking as impressive as we thought it was at this point.
No,
Chargers
the Chargers
don't look good either.
Yeah, the Chargers are in a rough spot too. All right, let's move on. Let's go to I think the next slide is our first week game. There we go. All right. So we got the New York. Hey, there's a theming. It'll make sense when we get to a particular slide.
The Green Giant, but they're blue.
Well, that's giant. Giant
against the green team.
Yeah, but it's all gonna do with the brand name, not the color. So, all right, we got the New York Jets versus the New York Giants. This is a home game for both teams in New Jersey, of course. And it was a clean sweep for the Jets. This was probably one of the easiest picks this week. I don't know about for y'all. Yeah, I think so.
I don't know. This one I feel like can still go either way.
Yeah, the Giants are coming off. Giants are coming off of a win against the Commanders. The Jets are coming off. Were they on bye last week? What did they do last week?
I don't know.
Giants won, didn't they? Well,
Yeah.
you're saying they won against the Commanders, and they played good against the Bills, but I don't know. I can't decide on the Bills either what they are.
The
But
Jets were
Yeah.
the Jets are coming off of a bye.
I think coming off of a bye is big, and also there's no like home field advantage either way. And I think the Jets' defense is just way better than the Giants' offense. So that's why I think it's going to go the Jets' way. I didn't have any trouble picking this one. I mean, I guess there is a potential that the Giants, especially, they're starting to trend upwards a little bit. But it's going to come down to Zach Wilson probably. If Zach Wilson plays like shit, then yeah, it'll probably go Giants' way.
I mean, I don't have a whole lot to say about this game. So
All right, moving on. We've got the Jaguars at the Steelers. So it was another sweep. We talked about it before the podcast started. There's a lot of sweeps this week.
I thought I would have thought for sure Tyler would have picked the Steelers in this game.
This is
I
one
almost
that
picked the Steelers.
this is one that even though it's a sweep, I don't know if it's it's just the way we all went with it. I still think
Yeah.
the Steelers could win this game. Steelers have been trending upwards. They got bailed out last week, but overall the Steelers, the defense is still really good. It's just going to depend on how ETN and Trevor Lawrence play against that Steelers defense, I think.
I initially wrote down Steelers and I changed it right before I had sent it to you. So I don't know.
You're welcome to
shocked
change it if you want to. This is your chance.
I went back and forth on it enough.
Yeah, but I think this might be a pretty good game. And if the Steelers just audible out of every Matt Canada play call, then maybe the Steelers can win because they look better when Kenny Pickett says "fuck it, we ball." I'm just doing my own thing. All right,
Kenny Pickett's starting to prove himself a little bit.
he's looking a lot better. And he does have Deontay Johnson back, so at least has one other target besides George Pickens, so that helps too. All right. Then we've got the Eagles at the Commanders. Another sweep. The Eagles,
This
especially,
shocking.
The Commanders always play well against the Eagles, which is
Yeah.
one thing I'm worried about, especially for fantasy. But it's hard to pick him against the Eagles right now because of how stacked they are, and they played really well against the Dolphins.
The Eagles are one of the hottest teams in the league right now. I feel like in my head there are 3 teams at the top of the league right now, and then everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
the
the Eagles are
Broncos,
one of them.
Packers, and Titans.
Yeah,
No.
that's it.
Not even close.
This was one that I could see the Commanders pulling off an upset with it being a divisional matchup, and they're ones who killed their record last year. They went to overtime with them the earlier time they played this season, but it's hard to pick against the Eagles with the way the Eagles are.
It's one of those games where you know who you want to pick, but you wouldn't be surprised if you're wrong.
Oh, of course.
This is another one I went back and forth because of the fact the Commanders always play good against the Eagles, even when the Eagles are like undefeated. I mean, I don't know.
So y'all are starting to probably pick up on the grocery store theme that I've got going on here.
Yeah.
I was just going with thinking it was just something that has to do with their name, just in general, not even the grocery store themed, just that it was something to do with their name.
No, yeah, you got Green Giant, Steel wool pads, and Command strips. So,
you know what? Just change mine. I'm already doing really bad anyway.
Okay.
What's the worst that could happen?
All right. Let's just get rid of that. Put you over there.
I feel like this one might work out in your favor.
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised.
I hope so. I need a win. I need to be on the other side of the you were right, or you were right, I was wrong, or whatever it is.
Yeah, you were right, we were wrong. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to the next one. We've got the Rams at the Cowboys. And this is another one that the Rams, if Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua keep playing well, I could see going the Rams' way. But going to play the Cowboys at home, that's a rough match. That's a rough matchup.
This
I
all
still
comes
see
down.
Tyler getting this right.
I was gonna say this all comes down to the Cowboys' defense. I feel like if the Cowboys' defense plays to what their standard is supposed to be, then they'll win this game. But if it comes down to the Cowboys' offense having to keep up with the Rams, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, but so Tyler, of course, picked the Rams alone, and everybody else was Cowboys. But I almost picked the Rams here because I've kind of been on the Rams. I've kind of been on their side because of fantasy, and I love watching Puka Nacua play. He's kind of been showing up Cooper Kupp lately, so I think I'm probably going to be rooting for the Rams here, obviously for fantasy reasons, and because no one likes the Cowboys that isn't a Cowboys fan, but obviously I had to go Cowboys here.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Another one by himself over there. You got the Vikings at the Packers, and of course, Matthew picked the Packers. I respect it. You got to stick with your team, at least as of right now. And then
if it wasn't a division game, I might have picked against them. I'm not picking the Vikings.
I respect it, but yeah, of course, everybody went Vikings except for Matthew.
I don't blame
the Vikings, especially especially after beating up the 49ers, they're hot right now. And yeah, I'm worried about Jordan Love in this game. Like you said, with the Vikings blitzing the shit out of him, he might struggle.
See, but that's when Aaron Jones might show out with some screenplays, design screens to stop the blitz. I don't know. It's possible, but not likely.
Yeah.
For me, it's just the Vikings are on the uptrend. The Packers are on the downward spiral. It looks like, and it was just I was on the fence about it at first, and then it really hit me that the Vikings beat the 49ers, and I was like, yeah, I have to go with the Vikings on this one.
Hey, just to make y'all's pick even more safe, I'll read you the people who are questionable for the Packers right now. Eric Stokes is on IR. Josh Myers, our center, is questionable. Luke Musgrave, Jair Alexander, and Devondre Campbell are all questionable. So, not looking good.
How long has it been since Jair Alexander played? I feel like he's missed.
I think this is going on the third week.
Okay, because it feels like he's been out forever.
It does, and they are missing him bad.
Yeah,
and
I know. I know you are.
Please come back. Also,
man.
I just got a notification. Brock Purdy has cleared concussion protocol and will play against Cincinnati. So
I think I'm going to stick with Kittle then. Oh, we didn't talk about it when we were looking at the fraud alert thing, but if y'all saw, the leading receiver for the 49ers was George Kittle, which should not be the case, but he was.
Yeah. That shouldn't be the case unless you're like the Chiefs. Yeah. It's Travis Kelce.
Right. All right. Let's move on. So here's why I did this theming. Because we're going to have the introduction of none other than Mayo Man himself. This is the Falcons at the Titans game. And Titans are going to be rocking the Oilers look, which is why I've dressed up in the Oilers Oilers jersey and got my Oilers hat on and everything. And I was surprised that this wasn't just me and Tyler over here. So Matthew, let's hear it. You'll Levis believer.
Yeah, I think for y'all's sake, I want him to get it done. I don't like the guy because he's a fucking weirdo, but I hope he does good for y'all. And y'all are going to the game. I want y'all to be able to see y'all's team win while you're there. So
if the Titans lose, I've been to probably 7 or 8 games total now. I have never been to a losing game. So I'm nervous that this might be the first one. But earlier on in the season, when we got these tickets, and after they, it was before they announced that it was going to be the Oilers game, we thought it had the potential to be, since it was right after the bye and everything. And of course, it is the Oilers throwback game. When we got the tickets, I was thinking, this is an easy win for the Titans. Now I'm not so sure. The Falcons have been trending up, and then the Titans have been trending down. But I don't know. Desmond Ritter is, you never know what you're going to get out of him. If he drops the ball a lot, he throws a few picks, that'll lead it. That'll probably be what leans it towards the Titans. And then of course if Levis is actually good, because Tannehill is out. I hope they actually just stick with Levis. There's been a lot of talk about Malik Willis and Levis both playing. I think it should just be Levis and just see what we got in the guy that we drafted. So
Yeah, I think for confidence sake, you keep the same quarterback in all game.
yeah,
Because if you put him in one half and he does good, and then you take him out and they'll end up losing, it's gonna hurt team morale so bad.
yeah, and the momentum too. Like if he's playing well and you switch him out, you just lose all that momentum. So I'm starting to really question Vrabel's decisions. I don't know. Like I said, especially watching him on that recent press conference, I don't know about this. I don't know about Vrabel right now.
I don't understand why the Falcons are still so high on Desmond Ritter and they don't try and start Taylor Heineke.
Yeah, I think I agree.
I thought he was for sure going to be starter at the beginning of the season. That's why my bold prediction was the Falcons winning their division, because I thought Taylor Heineke was going to start. And I don't know. They're ruining it for me.
Yeah, well, have your predictions right, because they are currently winning the division. The other half of you saying they're going to find their quarterback, I don't know about that part of it.
Yeah. For me picking this game, it was the same reasoning that I used last week whenever I picked them against the Buccaneers. Their defense is just so underrated.
Yeah.
They're so good, and I feel like with Will Levis having his first start going against a now top 3 defense in the league,
yeah,
that's a rough combination.
There's a lot of factors to consider here. Mike Vrabel is undefeated after a bye, since he's been the coach of the Titans. This is a bye week, but then also this is a very different team than what he's had previously. He's starting a new quarterback. We just lost somebody major in our secondary. The Titans are, for whatever reason, amazing at home and terrible away. This is a home game, so there's a lot of variables here. But yeah, there's no telling. Well, let's move on. Obviously, me and Tyler picked the Titans, and then Matthew surprisingly picked the Titans too. So thanks for the support. Let's move on. Shit, they won't let me. There we go. All right, we've got the Patriots at the Dolphins. And this was an easy sweep, I think. It's hard to go against the Dolphins unless they're playing the Eagles for me and Ryan. But yes, the Dolphins easily was a sweep here against the Patriots.
All I'm gonna say is watch out for the Patriots, man. They beat the Bills last week on a last-second touchdown. Watch out for them.
I saw a stat that blew my mind earlier. The Dolphins have not beat a team with a positive record since they beat the Bills in week 3 of last season.
Yeah.
That's
that's the problem, is their schedule up to this last week has been very easy. So and they got kind of exposed by the Eagles, but I think especially, I still feel like the Patriots beating the Bills was kind of just a fluke game, because it was just last week was just a fluke week across the board. So I don't expect. I just don't think the Eagles have, or the Patriots have a chance against the Dolphins here.
They already beat them once this season, so
if we're on the theme of fraud alert this week, put the fucking Bills on fraud alert. I know they just beat the Bucks, but they only beat them by 6 points. They just lost to the Patriots. I mean, if you go back and look at their schedule, they could have just 2 wins at this point if the games hadn't gone just right for them.
They should have lost to the Giants.
Should have.
Yeah.
They should have. For some reason, they didn't just give the fucking ball to Saquon Barkley. And then, even still, there was a easily missed pass interference call. So it really should have gone Giants' way, and it didn't. But that's how those games go sometimes. Yeah, but this is a divisional matchup, and it's in Miami, so I'm feeling good about it. with the Dolphins, but I really hope. I'm obviously rooting for the Dolphins this year, for the most part. So I'm really hoping they can get away with a win here. And let's move on to the Saints at the Colts. Another 3-3 split. Gavin, Ryan, and Tyler all went with the Saints, and then Jason, Matthew, and I all went the Colts.
I don't know how I feel about these picks because you have Tyler and Matthew are split, and they're at the bottom right now overall. And then you have the two at the top and the two in the middle together. So I'm a little nervous now about my pick.
These are weird.
Yeah.
I think
See, I almost went with the Saints, so Jason, you should be safe.
I almost went with the Saints too, but then
this was a hard game to pick. This is a hard game to pick.
It was.
I think for me, it came down to the Colts looked great against that Browns defense.
Yes, that's exactly why I wound up picking the Colts.
The Colts should have won that game against the Browns, and they would be there'd be a lot more people talking about them, I think. Obviously, it's a division in my division. I don't want the Colts to do well, really, but at the same time, Gardner Minshew has been decent. He's had a couple bad games too, but overall he's been decent. And then that Josh Downs, that wide receiver, has been looking really good. He's been a pretty good pickup for people off waivers in fantasy because no one was really looking at him. But I just, especially playing in Lucas Oil, I feel good about picking the Colts here.
Yeah, Jason told me a stat last week about Gardner Minshew is 0-6 when throwing for over 300 yards in a game.
Wow, that's weird.
Yep. Actually, I think he's 0-7 now because he threw for over 300 last week too.
God, that's
even better. See, that's horrible. He is getting so fucked in his career. He would have so many wins if it wasn't for that.
That just tells you the defense just let him down, 100%.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people need to kind of start thinking about that for Kirk Cousins, too. Kirk Cousins usually does pretty well, but his defense just always lets him down. So, but yeah, I think this will probably be a really good game. It's just going to depend on if Derek Carr can throw to anybody other than Alvin Kamara, I think. So,
he doesn't need to, though. I mean, it's okay if he only throws to Kamara.
Yeah, just screen to Alvin Kamara every time. Hope for the best. All right, let's move on. So this one, I really was hoping that I just wanted for one time. I obviously do my picks before looking at any of y'all's because I don't want to be manipulated any which way. I was really hoping I wanted to be on the you were right, we were wrong potentially for this one because I was thinking I'm just going to be alone on this picking the upset for the Texans at Panthers. I picked Panthers, but then Tyler picked the Panthers with me. This was 100% because I'm rooting for my boy Justin. He's going through a rough patch, too, because he's a Panthers fan. The Panthers just came off of a bye. If there's ever a time for the Panthers to fix their season, this is it. Because if not, Frank Reich needs to go at the end of this season. Because he got fired by the Colts, he got picked up by the Panthers, and he's worse with the Panthers right now. So, and this is an interesting matchup because it's the two rookie quarterbacks against each other.
Yep.
So
Number
we're going to
one
see
and
who
two.
should have really been the number one overall pick.
Well,
I mean, CJ Stroud has outshined Bryce Young in every aspect so far this season.
That's true, but also Bryce Young's has been doing better, and it's the fact of he's one of the highest scoring in the NFC South, but he's still losing anyway because their defense sucks. The overall Panthers team sucks, but I'm just thinking, weirdly enough, I could see an upset here. Obviously, the Texans are favored, and they should be. But for some reason, a gut instinct, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go away from the crowd on this one and go with the Panthers. So, but then Tyler went with me, so never mind. I have yet to pick by myself.
You can just go ahead and mark this one wrong for you and Tyler because he picks with you.
Well, no.
Y'all don't know. Y'all got me on your side, so.
That's true.
And especially with it being at Carolina, I feel like there's a chance here. This will be a good match, I think.
I know you probably don't want to hear it, Steven, but I'm starting to like the Texans more and more watching CJ Stroud play.
Texans look great.
They're climbing up my list of favorite teams.
Texans look great. I'm not going to deny that, and now I'm even more worried. So we wear the Oilers throwback jerseys when we play the Texans later on, and it'd be really bad to go 0-2 in those throwback uniforms, especially against Houston with all of them saying about, oh, that's actually our history, not y'all's. So. All right, let's move on. So we got, of course, yeah. So just me and Tyler picked the Panthers. Everyone else went Texans. This one was an interesting one.
Hey,
You got the Browns at the Seahawks, and I want y'all to know this started out as a 3-3 split. Initially, Tyler had sent it to me with the Browns. And he texted me later on and said, switch me over to the Seahawks. I don't know why. He didn't explain why. But everybody went Seahawks except for Gavin and Matthew, who picked the Browns. So let's hear it, Matthew. What's your thoughts here?
All defense. I already explained it whenever I was talking about DK Metcalf. I don't think that they're going to be able to throw the ball against the Browns with how much pressure they're going to get. On top of the Browns secondary being as good as they are. So, I don't know. This one, my picks don't mean anything at this point. I mean, I can have as much reasoning as I want. Doesn't mean I'm going to get it right. I mean, let's be honest here.
I think the Browns defense is a good reason for that, and I totally get that. The only thing I think about is the Browns offense in the Seahawks stadium. They're going to have trouble communicating, and the Seahawks defense is still decent, especially with Devon Witherspoon. They got Reek Woolen. I still think I think this will be a close game, but I'm still leaning more towards Seahawks because home field advantage means a lot for them. I think so.
That's like their whole team identity is their home crowd. So
yeah. What about you, Jason?
It's weird for me to say this, but with it being the Seahawks offense with all their weapons, but I think this is going to be a really low scoring game, like a 13-10 maybe. I mean, maybe bump it up to 17-13. The Browns offense is not that good. They're going to have PJ Walker in again, I'm pretty sure.
I think so, yeah.
And then, like Matthew said, the Browns defense is going to give the Seahawks offense hell the entire game. So I wouldn't be surprised if this game went with no touchdowns. And honestly,
this might come down to a turnover battle. Whoever has the more turnovers could really affect the game because if Geno happens to throw a pick or something, that's going to swing the momentum the other way.
Yeah, he can't make those rash decisions of I have to get the ball out to a receiver. If you're gonna get sacked and you just want to get rid of the ball, throw it out of bounds. Don't force it to a receiver.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. We got the Bengals at the 49ers. Yeah, sorry. Hey, it's
this is insane to look at.
Yeah, who would have thought that the Bengals would get a clean sweep with the way they started off this season and with the way the 49ers started off this season? But as we said, go ahead.
I'm in shock.
Yeah,
not a single person picked the 49ers. Holy shit, I thought I was going to be maybe two people on my side.
Same. I was like, I'm picking the Bengals because they're only up trimmed. The 49ers look like they're in a rough spot. They're falling apart. I'm sure that, 4 or 5 people are going to go with the 49ers, and I'll be probably on my own.
No.
Wow. I'm shocked. Yeah. I
can't wait for us to all get this game wrong.
Yeah, no, the 49ers are going to fucking bounce back and get this game under control to start with, probably.
I'm going to need you to explain this was graphic on the 49ers.
The 49ers, hold on, let me switch to it. The 49ers, their whole thing is mining because of Sourdough Sam.
Oh
Minecraft food. That's why I had Minecraft food in there.
Your facial expression right there, Matthew, was incredible. When you realize, as soon as he said it, you realize.
Yeah.
Oh, I just thought about Sourdough Sam immediately.
Oh, the best mascot of all time, Sourdough
No,
Sam.
not even close.
One of the worst.
But yeah, this one surprised me. Same as y'all's reactions when I was putting everybody in there. I was like, huh, I would have thought at least somebody would have gone 49ers, but with them being on fraud alert, it makes sense, I guess, because their secondary hasn't looked good, and Jamar Chase might have a field day. I really don't know.
It makes me almost want to switch my pick.
You can.
I know. I don't know.
I'm not going to though. I think the Bengals have officially found themselves and are going to turn the season around. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bengals only lose a couple more games this season at this point because they seem to have found themselves finally.
Well, it's also Joe Burrow isn't hurt anymore, right? So that's probably helped a lot too.
He looks back to himself. So
they're too good of a team to have been as bad as they were at the start of the season. That it's not going to continue. Even if they do lose this game, like Jason said, I don't think it'll be that many more.
Yeah, I mean their schedule, as far as I remember, their schedule favors them for the most part. This game and against the Ravens are going to be the hardest games left, I think.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. We've got another division game. We got the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Denver Broncos. And respect to you, Jason, sticking with the Broncos no matter what. It's great. But of course, he was the only one who picked the Broncos. Everyone else went the Chiefs here.
I'm rooting for them, Jason. I'm rooting for you.
I'm rooting for the Broncos.
I think everybody is rooting for the Broncos in this game.
I want to see Taylor Swift crying in the booth.
I do too. Actually, I don't want to see Taylor Swift in the booth at all. I hope
she's not there. Yeah,
but she's going to be.
I hope she's not because I want to watch the game and actually watch the game and not the booth.
Well, that's not going to happen. You're playing the Chiefs.
But we have to have Brittany Mahomes and Taylor Swift doing their little handshake, So
yeah, the whitest handshake of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah, my main reason for picking the Broncos is, well, one, they're my team. I said it earlier. I'm gonna pick them for the rest of the year probably just because they're my team. But also, I just really want the losing streak to the Chiefs to be over.
Yeah, it's been.
I don't blame you.
I'm so tired of hearing about it. I want it to be over so bad.
They're coming off a win, so
I'm hoping that it's a momentum swing and we're gonna start winning some games. But our schedule does not favor that. We have the Chiefs, and then we have the Bills, and then we have the Vikings. So
that's rough.
Yeah, it's not a favorable schedule. But imagine we rip off 4 wins in a row, starting with last week, and we turn around and we're 5-5 at week 10. I mean,
it's funny you mentioned the the next several games that are on y'all's schedule. Have y'all looked at what the Vikings have for the next little bit? So they've got the Packers this week, but then they have just a bunch of easy matchups after that. So maybe the Vikings turn it around and are potentially winning that division. Who knows? Depends on how the Lions.
And imagine they're turning it around without Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Imagine what they're going to look like with having him back.
I think it's going to hurt them. Not actually hurt them. I think that it will go back to Jefferson, and then it's going to wipe out their whole progress of getting everybody else involved. That's what it was at the start of the season. It was Jefferson, and they were not spreading the ball out. Now that he's not there, they're having to use Addison and Hawkinson and I don't even know who their running back is, but I think it's going to hurt them. Not in the long run, obviously, because it's Justin Jefferson, but
maybe having him be out is going to help them realize, hey, we have a team that we can actually throw the ball to and give the ball to other than him. Maybe it'll help them out. But I see where you're coming from, though. I could definitely see it wind up hurting them.
Well, and then also people are going to be talking about the Vikings again, ooh, they've got Justin Jefferson, they're amazing. People have kind of been counting them out the last several weeks without Justin Jefferson, and they've been playing well. So maybe it's the whole mentality of expectations from the media and stuff that's coming into it. But Alexander Madison, and then remember they've got Cam Akers too. as their other
Oh yeah, they
running
do
back.
top playmakers.
But
I
real
just
quick,
I think they're too linear with Justin Jefferson.
before we go to the next game, I want to hear, what do y'all think the Broncos have to do to win this game? I know what I think in my head. I want to hear what y'all have to say.
I think stopping Pacheco is the main driving force, and if they're gonna have to find a way to slow down Travis Kelce because he's been on a tear of the last like 5 or 6 games.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with exactly what he said. My brain was immediately going to Pacheco too, because y'all have been horrible against running backs. So if Pacheco has another big game, he's an angry runner, then y'all might have
He's
problems
so
again.
fun to watch run the ball.
Yeah.
I saw something that said whoever said the least amount of wasted movement for a running back, Isaiah Pacheco is the complete opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
yeah, he does overdo it. He does.
It's so fun to watch.
Yeah.
It's weird. My key to winning this game is different than y'all. Completely different. My key to winning is we have to go up by 2 scores in the first quarter if we want to have a chance.
I mean, I feel like that's every game. If you can go up by 2 scores, you have a chance at winning.
Well, but specifically against the Chiefs because they can be so explosive, and especially with how our defense has played this year, if we don't get up by 2 scores fast, we're not going to win the game. If it comes down to the fourth quarter, our offense is going to stall out and our defense is going to give up a big play, and the Chiefs are going to win the game by a touchdown or a field goal at the end of the game.
So do you think let's say y'all do the coin toss and y'all win. Do y'all think y'all would choose to take the ball first or just wait and get in the second half?
Because Sean Payton is our coach, no, we're gonna give the ball to the Chiefs first. But if they score on the first drive, the game's over. Because we're not gonna go up by 2 scores after they've scored a touchdown. We'd have to get the ball, score ourselves, stop them, score again, stop them again, score again. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah. I think it's interesting, like, there seems like the Bengals, they choose to take the ball then, which is interesting.
Well, when you have an explosive offense like that, you can do that, and you're confident in your ability to score. Which the Broncos score on their first drive in almost every game so far this year. I think the 2 exceptions were maybe, I don't remember what week it was, but we didn't score in the first drive in one of the games earlier this year, and we didn't score in the first drive last week against the Packers. Those are the only 2 games that we didn't score on the first drive. So, I mean, maybe I'm underrating our offense by accident, but
I think anything's possible. I think the Broncos have a chance every week. I mean, most teams have a chance every week, no matter who you're playing, unless you're like the Panthers. But I mean,
yeah, I want the winning streak or the losing streak to be over to the Chiefs. That's my main reason for picking the Broncos this week.
All right. Let's move on. We've got the Ravens at the Cardinals. This one was another easy pick. I just want to say the last time I picked the Cardinals was the week after their last win. So I'm not picking the Cardinals again no matter what. Obviously, they have looked better than we could have predicted, I think, but still their record still is bad. What, they're 1-5?
Yeah.
So
1-6.
1-6. And they beat the Cowboys, which was kind of bizarre. But
a lot. You're downplaying it. They destroyed the Cowboys, which makes no sense.
Yeah. But NFL, any given Sunday, right? That's what they always say. But the Ravens are one sexy team right now. It's hard to deny it.
Arguably the hottest team in the league right now with the way that they've played. I know that they lost 2 weeks ago to the Steelers, but that's a divisional game and it was close. And then last week they just wrecked the Lions. It wasn't even close at all in that game. It was all
it was
Ravens.
never close.
The other thing with the Ravens-Steelers game is, for some reason, I don't know if somebody put some butter on their gloves or something, but the Ravens couldn't catch balls to save their life.
Yeah.
They were dropping everything, and of course you're going to lose a game if you can't catch anything. So
Yeah, if you have 15 drops in a game, you're
yeah,
never gonna win.
yeah,
I mean,
exactly. So, but obviously they didn't look like that against the Lions,
No,
and
they look
they
much
looked
improved.
great.
hey
So,
I
Steven, can you explain the graphic?
oh, it's I mean,
it's
grocery
Cardinal food.
store, and it's Cardinal bird food.
I was joking.
Yeah,
It
I
says
know. I
fucking
was gonna say,
Cardinal. It's all it is.
well, and for our audio listeners, they didn't know that was there, so thank you for mentioning it.
Sure.
Yeah, if you're audio listener, check out the videos so you can see my unhinged PowerPoint slides that I make for this.
He's putting
I'm
mayonnaise and stuff on here.
Yeah,
yeah, I'm sitting really high on the Ravens right now. I think if they could
Yeah.
continue to play like they did last week, they could go to the Super Bowl with the team that they have. Their defense
Yeah.
is really good, and their offense has the potential to be one of, if not the best in the league.
and I do think even if it's not Derrick Henry, I do have a feeling the Ravens are going to make some push for another running back because I think
They
that
have
is
to.
that's one of their biggest weaknesses right now.
With
So
losing J.K. Dobbins this season, that
yes,
was a big blow to them. But the fact that they're 5-2 without J.K. Dobbins is impressive. I hope that they find a good running back to sign for the rest of this season.
I hope they keep playing like they do because I have Lamar in fantasy, and he
yeah.
played awesome last week.
Oh
So
my god, he put up like 35 points or something
he-
crazy like that.
I had the top 2 scorers in the entire NFL on my team against Tyler.
Yeah,
So,
not exactly the week you necessarily needed it, but you know.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Yep.
just think about the week in my other fantasy. I put up 200 points against the person second to last, and I'm like, why did I use it this week and not another week? All right, let's move on. We've got the Chicago Bears at the LA Chargers, and this was a sweep. The Chargers, though, I don't know. I mean, this is one that I actually think has potential to go either way because the Chargers are kind of on fraud alert too.
They don't look good. I Last week against the Chiefs for the first half, they looked good. They were keeping up with the Chiefs. It was a really entertaining game. And then the second half, they didn't do anything. And if they play like that again, the Bears are going to beat them. I mean,
The Bears don't. They got Tyson. What his last name is? Tyson
imagine.
Badgett. Yeah,
Pageant,
he
yeah.
he looked okay. I mean, for being an
Yeah,
undrafted rookie, he did not do bad.
That
He got
played
him a
at
win.
he
So
played at a Division two school too, I think, in
yeah,
he
college.
did.
So I saw some that TikTok you sent us. Somebody called him the no regrets guy from We're the Millers, and I couldn't help but laugh at that because he does kind of look like that guy.
fun fact: his dad is like a 24-time world champion in arm wrestling.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool actually. But yeah, I with the way Badgett's been playing, it's like, man, maybe you just you just keep benching Justin Fields at this point.
I
What's gonna happen? Go ahead.
I wish they would have put a different game at Sunday Night Football other than this.
Yeah, I thought they had talked about flexing it. Did they not?
I haven't heard anything about a potential flex.
Oh, yeah, and that reminds me, I forgot to put the graphic on there for the primetime game. So whoops.
Way to go,
but-
Steve. We got to
yeah,
restart.
We got to start the podcast over.
What I was gonna say, I think what's gonna happen, it's gonna screw the Bears in the long run. But this is just something that the Bears would do. Tyson Badgett is going to do really good for like 5 or 6 weeks, and they're gonna get rid of Justin Fields, and they're gonna think that he's their guy, and then he's gonna be awful right after they trade him.
And you will enjoy every minute of it.
Yep. It's what's gonna happen. He's gonna end up beating the Packers or something. They're gonna be like all in, just throw everything towards him, and Justin Fields is just gonna get kicked to the curb. Which I talk a lot of shit about Justin Fields because he plays for the Bears. If he went and played for another team, I think he would flourish. But who knows?
He's got to play for the right team. That's the thing.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The Bears are not the team for him.
He can't
Uh,
miss DJ Moore when he's wide open, though. That's been my biggest
I,
complaint with him this year. Because
yeah,
there's been some times where it's like, dude, you've got one of the best wide receivers in the league, and you're missing him wide open, and you're choosing to run the ball. If he didn't make
yeah.
those mistakes, I would be in agreement with you, but I don't know. Justin Fields has been weird. He's still great in fantasy a lot of times, but
I beg to differ.
he hasn't been lately for sure. All right, let's move on. I guess this is Monday Night Football, I
Yep.
assume. We've got the Raiders at the Lions. Matthew, once again, all on his lonesome there. You got Matthew going with the Raiders and everyone else went the Lions. What are we
I
thinking?
Yeah, I guess I'll hear what you have to say first.
I I don't know. I don't want the Lions to win for one. That was the first thing.
Yeah, fuck the
And
Lions, got it.
yes, but I mean they're good. I can't be like, oh, they're just awful because they lost last week. I think something went on that we don't know about because they completely fell apart. And if something is going on behind the scenes, we don't know what's going to happen this week either. And I don't know. Once again, fuck the Lions. So I'm hoping that they get taken out by the Raiders and we win this week and possibly move up in our division. So who knows? I'm playing it as a Packers fan. That's how the whole pick.
What about you, Jason? What are you thinking?
Um, I couldn't pick the Raiders after they lost to the Bears the way they did. That game was not even close last week, and
Yeah.
I think it was a one-off thing for the Lions last week. They're still a really good team. No one's going to deny that. Um, I think they'll get back into their stride this week against the Raiders, especially being at home, being in prime time, and I just picked up Jared Goff in fantasy, so
I just want to say I don't expect to get this game right. This is one that I'm just hoping goes my way.
I hate the fact that the Raiders don't seem to know how to use Devontae Adams. What's going
I do
on?
too. He should have stayed at the Packers is what's going on.
Well, yeah, obviously, but
I
but
mean,
Jacoby Myers has been outplaying Devontae Adams in fantasy in actual tape too. Like just watching the game, it's like, what's going on? And it seems like to me, it's not like Devontae Adams is like getting burned by the defenses or anything like the corners. They just don't throw to him for whatever
that's
reason.
that's exactly what it is. It's the Jamar Chase effect of I'm always open. Devontae Adams is literally always open. And if
Yeah.
he's not open when you throw the ball, he will be open when it gets to him.
Yeah, but that's my whole
Uh,
reason. That was my whole reasoning is they have not been using Devonte Adams well at all, and it's
yeah.
hard to pick a team that is just misusing an incredible wide receiver. And then I think the Lions, especially after last week, obviously this is a little different than the 49ers Bengals situation, but Lions kind of got put on fraud alert. But for some reason I feel like Campbell is going to he's going to come out angry and he's going to
Probably.
really try to shut all those people up because
They got beat so bad last week. I think they're going to come out and try and run up the score on the Raiders.
yeah.
hey, light up the scoreboard like the Ravens did against you last week.
Yeah. Also, I'm glad Gavin took the bullet for me and drafted Devontae Adams because I 100% would have taken him if Gavin wouldn't have taken him that pick. I was going to take him. So
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. I guess we got our last game, which is technically next week's schedule. We got Thursday night football. And I mean, this one, I don't blame any of you. Okay, it's I
yeah,
understand it. The Titans at the Steelers. We don't even know what this Titans team is going to look like because that's after the trade deadline. I hate that they're playing Thursday night football right after that, especially if they're going to make a bunch of moves. But of course, me and Tyler, we're fans of the Titans. We're going to pick the Titans at least for right now. With depending on what happens, this might be my last time picking the Titans for the year just because I don't want to. if they end up being so bad after this, I'm not going to let myself fall behind so far in our picks just because of the Titans. But yeah, so
Yeah.
me and Tyler went Titans. Everyone else went Steelers. I don't really want to even talk about this that much. What do you guys got to say about it?
I don't know. Steelers looked pretty good last week. I know that we said that they got bailed a little bit, but I think they look good.
It's just, it's a short week. The Steelers are coming off of, well, I mean, we don't know if they're going to be coming off of a win this week, but they had a win last week. They're at home. Like you said, we don't know what the Titans are going to look like. You guys may not have Derrick Henry. I mean, there's a lot of factors going into this game, and I feel like it's just all leaning to the Steelers being able to pull out a win.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't even know if it's going to be Will Levis or Malik Willis.
We don't.
Because if Levis plays horrible, they're not going to start him again. I mean,
it could be
it's
Ryan
just common
Tannehill,
sense.
and you never know.
That is true.
Can you imagine either of our young quarterbacks going up against T.J. Watt? That fucking scares me.
God.
Especially
if it's Willis. Because at least Levis will sit back in the pocket and throw a ball. Malik Willis is going to try to roll out, and he's going to get cremated by T.J. Watt.
Yeah, my visual imagining him running out of the pocket right into T.J. Watt does not look good.
He's just standing there like this.
He's just gonna be running into a wall. All right, well, like I said, I hate that we had to play on Thursday Night Football, and especially when we have our picks. I wasn't, especially since I'm going to the game this week. I had to, at least for this week, pick the Titans both times because it would just feel dirty going to a game when I know I picked against them. So
yeah, you gotta wear the other team's jersey if you pick against them in the game you're going to.
Yeah,
that's
so obviously I stuck with it, and tighten up, I guess. Let's hope for the best.
Hey.
But that's it. I think that's all right. Yep. You guys got anything else to add?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching / listening. If you're listening on one of the audio platforms for podcasts, make sure to look in the description. There should be a link to our YouTube channel, probably to this exact video. Highly recommend watching the visual to get the extra unhinged PowerPoint slides that I create. And then, make sure to subscribe when you're there. Follow us on Twitter at OutOfMarketPod. Maybe Tyler will actually start tweeting from it. We'll see. And that's pretty much it. Hope everybody has a good day. Another week of NFL. Should be exciting. Y'all got anything else to add? Ready to call it?
Football.
Oh, all hands in. Football!
Football!